Yipee-Ki-Yay, Mr. Falcon.
Back, Mr. Falconers, Yipee-Ki-Yay. We're talking about a particular character today, the devil. That's right, Satan, Beelzebub, Lucifer himself, the fallen angel, the morning star. He's been in movies, well, I guess a lot. There's a lot of devil, Satan adjacent characters. There's a lot of demons, general demons, but, you know, the Satan, the Lucifer, it's a little less common to see him in movies, directly named per se. But it happens every once in a while, and we have compiled here at Mr. Falcon, with our vast resources and our team of analysts, we have compiled a list of what we think are the better performances given by actors and actresses depicting Satan. I came up in Catholic school, like my co-host for this episode, Tom, also did. Grade school and high school, different grade schools, same high school. And, the devil was like another member in the superhero gallery. You know, like when you start going to Catholic school at age 4 or 5, in kindergarten, and you have religion class, and I mean, when we were there, it wasn't like when my parents went and they had catechism and they had nuns smacking the shit out of them with rulers and whatnot. But we had mandatory religion class every day. And it was catechism, just, the softer 90s version with workbooks and cartoon drawings of Jesus walking with children and, whatever the fuck. And like little by little, they taught you more and more and more every year, and Satan was like one of the big characters, man, like Gabriel and Jesus himself and baby Jesus, which you kind of thought of as like a different character because he would be a different action figure, right? And Joseph and Mary and Pontius Pilate and all these other characters that are members of the New Testament story, mostly the story told by the Gospels, because to be honest, that's what we focused on a lot. We didn't focus on the deeper philosophical questions of religion at that age, when we were in grade school. And we focused on the story told of Jesus's life in the Gospels, and we watched Jesus of Nazareth, if anyone remembers that incredibly long miniseries that they did, which is just a straight up telling of the life of Jesus. Starts in the manger, ends on the cross, it's same deal. It was just pretty decent production value for the time, and they loved to show it to us in school, especially around Easter. So that's how you think of the devil. So it seemed perfectly natural that you would see the devil as a character in movies, but they kind of shied away from it a lot. I mean, hell, even in the Hollywood of the 1940s, they didn't really want to show a depiction of Jesus Christ on the screen. Think of Ben-Hur, right? I mean, this was a fact. Like, he was too holy. Like, you couldn't have an actor portray Jesus and not infuriate a large chunk of the country, or maybe even the world. I don't know how people thought of it back then. But in Ben-Hur, you never see Jesus, even though he's a character, even though he's in the movie. The titular character, Ben-Hur, played by Charlton Heston, and his family, what remains of it, are present at the Passion while Jesus is walking to Calgary, and his shadow passes over them, and the shadow that has the effect in the movie of curing his family of leprosy. they must have just forgot to put old Ben-Hur's story in the gospel. But, that was the way it was done for a while. And of course, movies started pushing the envelope here and there and whatnot. And I don't know what the first instance of Jesus being shown on film was, but, we run through a lot of, not a lot. We run through at least 3 prominent films about Jesus in this episode in talking about the devil. But also the devil's been used in horror movies and lower brow fare that's also a lot of fun. It's a really, I'm not going to say it's an easy character to throw in there, but it's definitely a ready-made villain. If a movie decides to make Satan himself the antagonist, it's at this point pretty lazy, I think. Unless you have some wildly original take, it's kind of like using Dracula. He's in the public domain and everyone knows him, right? But that said, there have been some really interesting takes, some really interesting ideas, and some really interesting performances that actors have put forth depicting the Lord of Darkness throughout the years. Now, we tried to keep it tight, like I said, about actual depictions of Satan, Lucifer, the devil, not like the Exorcist, which is a demon that may or may not be the devil possessing a child. We're just sticking to, there's a character and he's fucking Satan, and we're going to talk about the actors that played him, from De Niro to Vigo to Pacino to all. We try to get them all, and if we miss something really obvious somehow, if a performance escaped us, please let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow Yipee-Ki-Yay, Mr. Falcon, wherever good podcasts are sold. All right, let's get to it. You know what I just watched?
What's that?
Something I haven't seen in a very long time that I used to watch on tape a lot. Ninth Gate. Remember that?
Yeah, Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp and aging Frank Langella.
That was Frank Langella.
With like super gray hair and really, really thick framed glasses. I don't know what the fuck he was going for, but he looked weird.
Was he like the main guy that was trying to beat him to the punch and finding the books?
No, he was the creepy rich guy that hired him.
Oh, right.
Yeah. He was the Boris, I think Balkan was the name.
Yeah,
he had it's like a Bond villain name.
It really is. Did you like that movie?
Oh yeah, dude. I liked it a lot. It frustrates me because the ending is a little cryptic, I guess you could say. No, I always really liked it. It's slow, for sure.
Yeah.
It's very European, I guess, because it's, Polanski, and he had to make it in Europe because of the raping.
That'll do it.
Because of all the raping. But this is from, I think, 99 it came out. So, I mean, Johnny Depp was at the height of his Johnny Deppness. He hadn't done Pirates yet, so he wasn't like a total sellout. I don't know. I started smoking Lucky Strikes because of that movie for a while. And I wanted a messenger bag and got one, but then I went to college and found out everyone had a messenger bag. I don't know. It's got a cool aesthetic. It's got a feel for sure. It's a weird devil movie, right?
Yeah, it is a devil movie.
It's a devil movie, and we're talking about devil movies, and I'd seen all the ones on our list I know really well. I didn't really feel the need to rewatch anything, so I figured I'd watch that one. It's kind of off kilter because you don't know if the pretty French lady is the devil or an angel or a demon.
Yeah, it's
she
not
has like
really,
fiery eyes.
It's not really clear.
No, they leave it pretty ambiguous as to exactly what the ending. I mean, they keep saying that the book is designed to call forth the devil and open the ninth gate, whatever that means, and he walks through the fucking gate at the end. So whatever that means, that happened. But the blonde chick, I don't know. She's she acts like his guardian angel through the most of the movie, and then she seems to be precognitive and then kind of evil at the end, and then she bangs him and has fire in her eyes.
Yeah,
So-
like she acts like his guardian angel because I think like I think you could make the case that she is the devil, and she's guiding him to be where he needs to be and do the stuff he needs to do to like succeed and open the gate, and it makes sense, you know.
Yeah, it does make sense, and I'm pretty sure that's what it was getting at. But I think the reason we didn't put it on this list is because everything else on this list, like, it's super fucking blatant. Like,
Yeah.
I'm the devil, like the devil.
Well, yeah, it's
Evil from the devil.
yeah, it's who
What
plays
the fuck is it? Mike Myers. That's Mike Myers. Okay, I didn't just make that up out of thin air.
Evil.
That's fucking from the devil. So I married an axe murderer.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, but yeah, the whole point
happens.
is like you're looking at the devil as a character, and in
Yeah.
that movie, the devil isn't. He's the devil is the MacGuffin essentially, more than he is a
So-
character. At least. In
So
the
let's
ninth
like, yeah. Well, that movie's got red herrings and MacGuffins. It's got all kinds of shit in it. I mean, if you don't mind the pace and the stodgy, just kind of overall nature of it. I mean, it's not a special effects heavy movie. It's not super suspenseful, but it kind of is. And
yeah, it has its moments.
I mean, it's kind of more like a mystery, more like a slow cook mystery. I mean, if the idea of a book detective hunting down 3 copies of an ancient manuscript about Satan that were supposed to have all been destroyed, and when the author was burned to death in the Inquisition, it's kind of neat. There's lore, I mean, it's not a great movie,
Yeah,
but it's not.
I hated it when I first saw it.
Did you?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Really?
Well, because I was expecting something different than what it was, and then I watched it again later, and with like knowing what it was, and enjoyed it a lot more. But like when I first heard of it, I was like,
Okay.
oh yeah, I'm gonna see the devil, and like all this crazy devil stuff's gonna happen. And you're right, it's a detective movie, and if you don't
Yeah,
know
and
that
a slow one.
going in, it might change the way you view it.
I mean, there's murders throughout, but
Oh, yeah.
you don't see them. They're all off screen, and the bodies are discovered, right?
Oh, the
So
lady
it's that
in the
kind of.
wheelchair. And
That
it's like
one
going,
was pretty intense.
like
well, yeah,
ramming
and
the
she
desk.
spins around. She spins around, her tongue's lolling out.
That's gross.
Because she was strangled. It's fucking. That one's memorable.
It's pretty gnarly.
I mean, Polanski, forever, whatever he, is personally, he's always been a evocative director. Rosemary's Baby's pretty slow paced. If you go back and watch it, I mean, it was very of the times. 70s movies were much easier on on time. It seems like
Yeah.
it gave the story a lot of time to breathe. But yeah, not too sure. So let's just start with the only representation I can think of the devil in a movie that looks like the traditional Satan character, all red skinned and horns. I mean, it's Legend, right?
Yeah.
Tim Curry. I can't think of another movie where they made Satan look like Satan.
That was like
I mean-
the Satan of your nightmares.
And it's been a long time, but is he actually Satan in that, or is he just like an evil god type of character?
I don't know. I think he's so close to the devil in appearance that like who else is it supposed to be?
Yeah. It was made for a Western audience.
Even if it is,
That's what they're going to think. I mean, he had red skin and fucking horns.
Yeah.
And hooves.
even if they did give him a different name, like it doesn't matter if you're watching that movie. You're like, oh yeah, that's the devil, all right.
In the few shots where you see him walk around, aren't his legs like stop motion, if I remember? Like Jason the Argonaut style. I should watch this again.
I haven't seen that since. Oh, I saw it a long time ago. I saw it a bunch because my sisters were completely obsessed with it, especially
That
the
tracks.
soundtrack. And I remember, you would think that someone had died, the day my sisters watched that movie on like Amazon and the soundtrack had been replaced with something more generic.
No.
They lost their minds. They're like, "What?
Okay.
They got rid of Tangerine Dream? Are you kidding?" They were just the effrontery was real. I felt it, man.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
No, that's something I hate about streaming movies. It happens a lot. TV shows it happens to even more. One of the big examples is Scrubs, because that had so much early aught music in its soundtrack. And then, I mean, they didn't have the licensing to reproduce that even on disc. So,
Wait, you have to continue to have the license after the show's made to show it?
Yeah, it's a different kind of license. Yeah, it's a different kind of license for if you, it's not, it's a different, there's one license for if you run reruns, right? If it goes into syndication, like that's one thing. But if they're going to put it on disc or on streamings and sell it, then you have to keep paying royalties for all the music in it. It's a different kind of licensing. And a lot of those TV shows never did that. And then when it came time to either sell it on disc or put it on Netflix or whatnot, the studio was just like, well, we're not going to spend all this money and time and run down all the licensing for all these songs, and we'll just, like, you know, replace it with shit. Or, yeah, sometimes just score music or just songs you never heard of. It doesn't happen that often with movies, though. That's weird. Because, I mean, studios have been usually including it when in the rights to sell it on disc or video, like they have been for many, many years. So it doesn't often happen with movies, but every once in a while it does. I didn't realize that Legend was a victim. That's a shame.
Yeah, and they were mourned by my sisters. But yeah,
I'm still buying discs. I got Serpico on 4K.
Serpico. I never saw that movie.
Serpico. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Laundry List. Laundry List, bud. That's one I can talk you into for sure. So you recently saw what I think is one of the better, I mean, we're not going to say if it's the best depiction of the devil or yet, but it's definitely one of my favorite movies on this list. You just saw it for the first time, Angel Heart.
Yeah. Yo.
Tell me, what'd you think, man? We haven't really talked about it at all.
No, I'll tell you this. I knew like two things about this movie. I knew Robert De Niro played the devil, and I knew that his name in the movie was Louis Cypher. And I thought,
all right, so you were going in like judgy.
Yeah,
I understand.
Yes, I went in thinking like this is going to be stupid. And, I mean, why? That's such an obvious reference, and
it's terrible.
I went in ready to, like, you know, tear it to shreds, and like, dude, I loved it. It was great. It was awesome. It was totally different than what I was expecting, especially from like Mickey Rourke. I don't have the type of like experience with Mickey Rourke, you know, that people who grew up. Well, I didn't really watch Mickey Rourke movies.
Yeah,
I know, like
you said, one of the first things you saw him in was like Sin City, right? You were used to old Mickey Rourke.
I'm used to Mickey Rourke 2.0, and I got to take.
Well, you saw him in Once Upon a Time in Mexico. I remember you liked that movie. I know you definitely remember that.
Oh, well,
he didn't have. He did not have a big part.
I forgot he was even in that because there's so many people in that cast. It's crazy. But
yeah, Mickey Rourke is like two distinct people. It's very strange. There's young Mickey Rourke, and then what he morphed into, for better or for worse. But he was still pretty and had his original voice in Angel Heart.
Right. And can I just say one thing about Mickey Rourke's performance? Don't get me wrong, I liked it. But, like, the one thing I noticed about the Mickey Rourke School of Acting is, like, in that movie anyway, his whole motivation is walk into a room, start saying something, pick something up, and play with it. Like, every single scene. You know, he walks in, he's just picking up stuff on the dresser and knickknacks. And then, you know, he's, like, picking up the bowls to catch the rain. It doesn't matter. He's just playing with stuff. And then my favorite is when he's just, like, touching the stuff in the ice house. And so he has the fucking ice hammer in his hand, and when he's freaking out, he's like, "Yeah!" He starts
stabbing the ice
shit out of the ice block, and he puts the tongs around the guy's neck. It's whatever was in arm's reach just became a prop, whether you meant it to or not. It was.
He went to the Brando School of Acting. Brando liked to do that too. He always liked to have something to play with, you know, like a cat or whatever.
I mean, it works though. He was great.
I get it.
He was great in that movie.
I love the feel of it, just the noiriness of the beginning, especially in New York. Well, what's supposed to be New York. I don't know what season that we're in where it's cold enough to be significantly snowy in New York, yet blistering hot in
Oh,
Louisiana.
dude, Louisiana is hot like year round.
Yeah, it's hot, but in the winter it gets up into the 70s. It looked like it was 150 fucking degrees
I don't know,
when he's
man.
down there, but I let it slide. I read the book actually a few years ago, which is it's called Fallen Angel, and it did not go to Louisiana.
Huh.
The entirety of the story takes place in New York City and New Jersey, North Jersey. I think the mental hospital is still in North Jersey
Yeah.
in the book.
Of course, it's North
But
Jersey.
yeah, of course, of course,
tracks.
it's either that or White Plains. So yeah, but he never goes to Louisiana in the book. But I think it adds something to it. I liked it. He looks so uncomfortable the whole time he's there in that wrinkled
Seersucker
fucking
suit.
yeah, is it seersucker or like white linen or whatever it is, but he just always looks so sweaty and greasy the whole time he's in Louisiana.
Yeah, he does look
and
miserable.
like it looks too hot to smoke, and he's just constantly smoking unfiltered Camels, and it's brutal. But yeah, the devil's in that. Like blatantly, we have a devil. His name is Louis Cypher. They're not fucking around. It's the devil, like the kind that makes deals at the crossroads and shit. And it's Robert De Niro this time. So what'd you think of
Well,
long-haired, giant beard, weird manicured Robert De Niro?
Well, I mean, just real quick. This is funny, and I want to mention it before I get to Robert De Niro. When I first
Okay.
turned on that movie, but when I turned it on the first time, Mickey Rourke is talking on the phone to somebody, and he's speaking French, and I'm like, oh, okay, well maybe it's part of the story that he's French. I know part of it goes to New Orleans, and I hear him say like, oh yeah, wine sap, Macintosh, and I was just like, wait, apples? Like, is he? What is it? Is he taking a grocery list from somebody for apples? And I realized I had the fucking French soundtrack on instead of English. And
How long did you listen to it in
it
French?
was like
Be
it was
honest.
several minutes. So then I was like, something's not right. And then I went back and started it over in English, and I was like, okay, he's Mickey Rourke, and hey, this is Harry Angel, detective, and
I didn't know wine sap
well,
is an apple.
when I heard that, I heard because it was in French, I was just like, why is he naming two apples? And because I work in a grocery
Okay.
store and I know this kind of stuff, I'm a produce aficionado.
Aficionado.
Yeah, I noticed this stuff immediately. I was like, wine
You're a
sap,
fruit guy.
Macintosh. I've been called worse,
Oh,
Dave.
Wine. I never put that together because I don't know that much about fucking apples.
I guess it makes sense.
I've never seen wine sap apples,
They're
man.
delicious. They're real tart.
But
But if you're going to be the devil and you're going to have two associates try to like convince somebody to take a job, and maybe for another word for it would be to tempt them, I can
forbidden
I
fruit.
can see the symbology there,
Yeah. That's classic Bible shit.
But to get
Yeah.
to Robert De Niro, yeah, man, just like his performance, number one, he's like he's super restrained. He never raises his voice. He's always seated.
Yeah.
He's always just like
He's got like that soft purr to his
not a
voice through
care
the
in the
whole
world.
thing.
And like he looks just creepy and slimy enough to be evil, but not outlandish enough to make you think like, yeah, that's the devil. It toes a fine line. He does look
They
ridiculous.
do make his eyes glow red at the end.
They're
but
yellow.
We'll forgive that. Yellow,
Yeah, they're
right? Like the
cat's
kid.
eyes.
Yeah. He's got nails too, long ass goddamn nails.
Yeah, but which get longer and longer as the movie goes on. I don't know if you noticed
Yes,
that.
and by the end, his ponytail is unfurled and his mane is released, and his beard is longer too. I think.
That scene with the egg when he's eating the egg in the diner, and like
Yes.
I think that's when you get a sense that he's really playing it up, and you could tell like, yeah, this guy's evil. But when the way he talks about the egg, he's like, some cultures believe the egg is the symbol for the soul, and he literally just, as he says that, he throws salt on it and just eats it like like real tight shot, no no humor in that shot. He looks like mean, and he's just eating this egg, and he's telling you in that moment exactly who he is. He's like, I eat souls. And if you put it together, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I see what's happening here. It was cool, man.
It's a little on the nose. But I like it anyway.
I liked it. Yeah,
and
it was good.
I do think, though, I know that shot you're talking about when he bites the egg, I always feel like they linger on it for like a beat too long.
Oh, really? I didn't feel that.
Yeah, I don't know. I always take note of that. It's one of those things. I love how fucking Mickey Rourke's accent gets super thick sometimes, and I see, no, thank you. I got a thing about chickens. What the fuck is his thing about chickens? Is it because they used one when they did the weird? The whole plot is fucking crazy. Like, we're not going to get into it because it's a whole complex fucking thing with a big old twist at the end. But
the story's insane.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. You really should see it if you haven't seen it.
It did have, though, like a genuine enough shocking twist that like I didn't see it coming. I knew there was something I was missing, and then when like the twist came, I was like, oh, yeah, I did not put that together, which was cool. I like the surprise ending.
There's really nothing to give it away, I don't think. And if you didn't see it, I'm sure there isn't, because you usually catch shit like that. Like I remember I would show you movies and I would think, oh, this one will fucking get him. And you're like 5 minutes and you're like, he killed his mom, right? And fuck you, dude. All right, we're in the prologue, man. The credits are still.
No, I did not. I didn't see it coming. And Robert De Niro,
good,
yeah, as the devil, I thought was.
And he doesn't have much screen time,
no.
right? Like De Niro's not. It's what, 3 scenes basically in a phone call, I think.
I like the scene in the church. He's in New Orleans and like shit's getting weird, and like he meets Robert De Niro in the church and he's like scolding him. He's like, watch your language. You're in church, He's like scolding Mickey Rourke, which I thought was pretty funny.
It was good. No, it's definitely a winner, and it's one of the better, because you said it's understated. It's just creepy in an off way, and that's what, like, I mean, there's so much lore surrounding Satan and the idea of Lucifer and the fallen angel and what have you, that it's hard to be anything original anymore. And I don't think that movie really tries. It just tries to live up to the more country idea of the devil, the more like the Daniel Webster devil,
I mean, and I don't think maybe it wasn't trying to be too original, but it was, in the fact that a lot of devil stories are like centered around one thing. They're centered around like temptation. The devil's trying to tempt you to do something. And without giving any, much away, like that doesn't seem to be Louis Cypher's motivation. He's not trying to tempt Mickey Rourke. He's doing something else entirely, which was a shock at the end. And it was a neat twist on the whole devil trope. It was that, like, he's not trying to tempt him to slip up. It's a whole other game entirely, which is like
the tempting already happened, right?
More fucked up than usual.
The tempting is what drew Johnny Favorite into the compact in the beginning. Like, that's the first step, and now when we meet him, he's in debt collection mode.
Right,
you know, so we usually don't see that side of it. That usually comes at the end
He's trying to
of a
collect
story
the soul
if you see it.
was promised.
Yeah, but it's the whole thing this time. So that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. That's again a very old timey version, the old scratch kind of make a deal with the devil, the Faustian bargain. It's classic, in an interesting setting too. 1950s, just like early 50s, post-war. It's good. It's good. It looks good. It stands up, because it's a period piece, and they always tend to stand up better over time. The glowy eyes is a little.
Yeah, it was a little.
Doesn't hold up so good, but the weird blood rain sex scene.
Oh my!
That makes up for it.
Dude, I wasn't prepared for that. I was like, it started, and I was like, oh my, yeah, I could get into this. And then the longer it went on, I was like, oh, I want this to end. This is
that's
too much.
That still gets you. That got that movie an X rating when they first ran it by the MPAA. They weren't too thrilled with that.
See that.
Yeah, they cut a bunch out for the theater, but apparently for even the very first video release, they added it all back in. So Fuck you, MPAA. Woo. All right, so let's go to Mr. De Niro's counterpart. Let's just go right away to the decidedly big budget, more glossy, more Hollywood Devil's Advocate.
Yep.
So you watched this recently too,
I
right?
did.
For the first time?
I'd seen a couple parts of it. I haven't seen the whole thing, but I saw it in its entirety for the first time.
All right. Well, I mean, if you haven't seen it, I mean, it's been decades, so it's on you. Al Pacino's the fucking devil. His name's John Milton.
Yeah.
In the movie, right? Which again is kind of ham-fisted.
On the nose.
Pretty smacking on the snooter there. But what are you gonna do? A lot of people weren't forced to read John Milton in school, so it might be cryptic for them.
We think it's on the nose.
We have a classical education, so we think it's whatever.
Indubitably.
It's John Milton. I don't know. We didn't read that much Milton in school. AP Lit for like 5 days, whatever. We went to a Jesus school. So we were exposed to more of the lore, if you will, than most people. But the funny thing is, I'll bring this up now anyway, before we get into the actual religious-y. There's only a couple religious-y movies on this list, actually. Most of the fun stuff about the devil isn't really in the Bible.
No.
You know, like the war in heaven and Lucifer falling and all that shit. None of that's actually in what's the accepted canon of the Old and New Testament. And most of it's in the Apocrypha, if you want to call it that. These collections of books that were never actually accepted into the official canon, and then that's, you don't, going to Catholic school, we didn't really get exposed to the cool stories very often because they're in like this thing called the Book of Enoch, and they don't teach that heresy.
Yeah, there's like the Book of Nod, the Book of Enoch. Yeah, there's a bunch of weird books that they just don't want you to know about.
The Gospel of Thomas,
yeah,
which is all direct quotes from Jesus Christ, supposedly. These books are as old, if not older, than a lot of the books in the New Testament. But when they had the First Vatican Council, they decided on what was going to be the Bible, and they didn't like certain things, and they wanted to be more on brand. So they just like kicked some shit out aside that a lot of people read and believed and at the time, and then it wasn't allowed anymore. But you can just go buy it. Look it up. The apocryphal books of the Bible, you'll find them. You'll find probably for free most places. Yeah. It's like reading the fucking Bible.
It's scripture.
Yeah, it is. It's scripture. It's written like scripture, but it's new. At least it's new. It's a little fresh. But the Devil's Advocate doesn't really. That's the other thing too. Angel Heart, there's not much representation of the other side at all.
None.
Like there's, yeah. I mean, even the one preacher you see in the movie is corrupt and in league with the devil anyway. So there's no balance in that one. It's all just the devil. Devil's Advocate, there's a little, I guess, in the form of
the wife
of the mother.
Oh, the mother.
Yeah, I get I kind of always thought the wife just represents innocence,
to lay it out,
and all that.
To lay it out for people, you have Keanu Reeves, the up and coming Southern. Who's he from Florida? The Southern prosecutor, or no, he's a defense attorney who used to be a prosecutor who's never lost a case. He's got a perfect record. His super religious mother, like real Bible Belt, church every Sunday. And his wife, who I think is supposed to be like the picture of innocence in the.
Yeah, I think she's not like a damsel-y type of woman. She's when we meet her, I guess she would be called a high-powered woman for rural Florida, in that I think she's a real estate agent. So she's like, she's a working woman, a young professional, and he gets tapped to come up to a big law firm in New York City. So the money's crazy, so they have to do it. And she goes with him and quits her job, and they leave everything they know. And now all of a sudden the dynamic of their relationship once they get to New York City is completely different. She becomes a wife who now has this crazy penthouse in Manhattan overlooking Central Park that she has to decorate, and she's surrounded by these like cunty rich lawyer wives.
Oh, they're the worst.
They're the worst, and they intentionally make them look awful with terrible garish makeup, and yeah, they're just shit. They're all shitty people, and he's always at work, and she slowly goes insane. It's a wild movie. It's a good movie. All right, so let's address the elephant in the room before we get to Mr. Pacino. The accent. What is this accent worse or better than Keanu's English accent in Dracula?
Better. Definitely
Better.
better.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Like you could forgive someone for not knowing. Like Florida is like as south gets, right? But you could forgive someone for not knowing the difference between a Florida Southern accent and a Mississippi, Missouri, Alabama, Texas, Louis. There's tons.
Plus, there's a lot of accents in Florida too.
There's tons.
Like a ton.
So like he was working with South, and if we're just going by South, it was fine. And like the performance was if you could separate the accent from the performance, I thought he was pretty good. You know,
it's pretty consistent. I will give him that. Like a lot.
Dracula
yeah.
is just horrid.
That's bad. It's really
awful.
bad.
I
don't know what Coppola was thinking.
He was trying so hard to nail the accent, he forgot to act. You know, it's just. But at least in Devil's Advocate, he's acting.
What the fuck movie is that he did? Keanu Reeves did a Shakespearean film. I think it was
Hamlet?
Much.
Oh
no, Much Ado About Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew it was a comedy, and one of our teachers in high school used to have the poster on the wall with all the actors' faces on it. You remember that? Because Denzel was in it with him. It was Mr. Gowan.
Kevin Kline.
Hey, Mr. Gowan. Yeah, if you're still out there kicking, you grizzled old bastard with your Marlboros and your weird shit that would probably get you put in jail today.
I got an
how you doing?
mountebank.
He was a weird fucker, man. But he was one of my favorite English teachers in high school.
Great.
Mr. Gowan. He was awesome. He was weird, really weird, but he was awesome. He actually made us do the entirety of Hamlet out loud, act it out loud in class. So we actually got to I don't know, it was play acting class every day. It was pretty fucking awesome for high school.
You were Hamlet.
Yeah, I had to be fucking Hamlet. Jesus Christ.
That's
a lot of lines, man.
I was Horatio.
It's a lot of... You were. Hamlet's got way too many fucking soliloquies, man. Even when you're reading it out of a book, it's a lot. Shit. But I still love that play. But Keanu, in Much Ado About Nothing, man, I remember my wife and I watched it, and she's like, "Oh, he's trying so hard," and he really was. Like, you feel fucking bad for the guy, but he doesn't have much of a range. But yeah, later in his career, he figured out
when he's in the pocket, man, he's great.
I loved him in Devil's Advocate. Like you said, it's just general Southern, but it's different than what he usually does, and it's consistent. It doesn't fade in and out like some actors' accents do. And
no, he was
okay.
He was good.
We'll forgive it. We'll accept it.
We'll
accept it. All right. So what about Al?
Oh man, Al. Jesus. So Al Pacino, there's not a lot of bad you can say about Al Pacino, but his acting falls in one of two buckets for me. There's acting, and when he's acting, there's like no one better. The Godfather, right? The scene in the restaurant when he doesn't even say a word when he's thinking about whether or not he's going to go through with it and kill.
Oh, as the train starts getting louder and louder in the background? Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah. I know every frame of that movie. We could talk. We can zero rate in.
That's another episode.
It's a wonderful, wonderful scene. Wonderful scene where you're right. You see it behind his eyes. He's playing out a whole scene behind his eyes, and you can see it all in his face. It's masterful.
And
There's scenes like that in Heat too,
yeah, man.
going later in his career. Like it's not just
Well,
when he was young. I think he did a lot more acting when he was young.
Heat is a good. It's funny you mentioned that because Heat does the same thing as The Devil's Advocate. It has both buckets. There's Pacino when he's acting and he's on his game, and then the other bucket is the screaming Pacino. The screaming Pacino. It's when he. It's like I don't know if it's written that way, but there are like Heat is one of them. And The Devil's Advocate, like the whole back half of that movie, or not the back half, but like the ending, the final act,
the big reveal in the
screams
office.
his way through like 20 minutes of dialogue. It just when you finally like he comes clean and says like, "Yep, I'm the devil. It's me, baby." And he just
It's a pretty great speech, though.
it's a great speech, but it's the screaming Pacino. Like he yells for 20 minutes.
I think he kind of makes up for it with all the evil smiles that he gets to mug with.
Oh yeah,
through the whole movie. I mean, he clearly had a blast doing this.
oh he's having a ball.
I love him in it. Like I don't know if he's a great devil, but he's fun as hell to watch in this movie. That scene in the train, in the subway car.
Oh, when he backs down the guy with the knife. Oh.
And he tells him that his neighbor's gonna smoke a crack joint with his buddy, and then he's gonna fuck her in her ass on his special green bedspread. That's some fucking hardcore shit, dude. And then sends him off to kill him.
Yep.
Like that's something the devil would do, like just for giggles on the subway. Like absolutely. And then I mean, it's so on the nose when he goes into the church. And that montage, and he puts his finger in the holy water. But by then, you're there for it. Like you're invested, you're deep into it. And the storyline with the wife, with Marianne, which is Charlize Theron, a young Charlize Theron, is really sad.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that's what makes the movie not just tropey. Like that's where the heart of the movie is, and in the bigger reveal with the mother at the end too. I mean, you don't want to talk about it. I mean, she banged Al Pacino. Whoa, she banged John Milton when she was young, even though she was a Bible thumper. You never would have thought, but woohoo, she did. She did.
Yeah, the devil, beware the devil. He knows the Bible too.
Yeah, the devil quotes scripture. So he's like half devil and half Southern lady. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. I love the ending though. Like I think that makes this movie for me.
Which ending?
Both, all of it, the whole thing. Like I know some people don't like it because it's a restart ending, right? Like you go back to zero, but I love it. I think it's just wicked. It's just devilish, if you will.
Oh.
I don't know. Did you think it was stupid? The mirror snap?
Just before the mirror snap, like when the devil's trying to get him to do what he wants, and what is it? Create the Antichrist, and he's like, "Well, I have to choose," and so he chooses to just end his life. I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, he just shoots himself. It's
His
a good
last card to play. The last card left.
A good looking gunshot too. That shit looks real.
Yeah, it does.
I always thought that looked real. And yeah, he incinerates the sister in rage. The devil does, and turns into like a young angel man.
Yeah. Like a Keanu Reeves angel man.
That's cool.
But then, okay, so then it snaps back to the bathroom. And it's like, okay, did it really happen? And so let me ask you, did it really happen, or did the devil just like put that story in his head to get him to go where he really wanted him to go? Because then the final ending is like that smug reporter turning, like literally morphing into Al Pacino.
Yeah. I guess you could take it one of two ways. You could take it literally that the devil has the power to, play something out one way, and if it doesn't work out right, he can just try over again.
If it doesn't work out, he just flies around the world a bunch of times and turns it backwards.
Maybe that's why he sprouted the wings at the end, because he had to go do that shit. I mean, that's problematic if you look at it that way. But I always kind of thought that it was like, Sort of, yeah. It was like almost like he possessed him for a minute and played out a scenario. I kind of imagine that it was one of many scenarios that he was playing out inside his son's head, to see how it would work out, to probe his personality, to figure it was the devil figuring out his weaknesses, and
he does figure out the main one. He boils it down to one sin, right? He's
pride, right?
vanity.
Isn't that what he says at the end? Vanity, my favorite.
Yeah,
right,
vanity.
right. Yeah. Yeah, and he appeals to pretty much every other one throughout the film
Yeah.
except that. So I guess like the way I thought of it was he injected this scenario into his mind for a minute. And to him it felt like a brain fart, right? Like a what the fuck was that? Like maybe like a little vision.
He does prey on his vanity. And that's how he knows it works, because when he puts that girl,
yeah, because he puts his career before Marianne,
because he doesn't want
right?
to blemish
That's right.
that
That's
unbeaten
right.
record.
Yeah, so the whole thing is kind of like a test. Like we didn't see reality; we saw a test that he was putting his soul through, essentially.
And, it's funny you say that, because they literally
like a VR thing.
They have that line in the movie when they give him that like health code case with the guy killing the goat, and he's just like, "Why is he giving this to me? It's a test, isn't it?" And then the lady goes, "Everything's a test."
Everything's a test. That's right. Yeah, are we negotiating always? Everything's a test. Yeah. Yeah, that tracks, dude. I like it. I like it a lot. And also too, it explains away the moments of unreality in the movie. Like when he comes out of the hospital and New York City is empty.
Yeah.
Like what is that? Like what the fuck is that? Were we supposed to believe that Satan can do that even for one person? That's kind of weird. It's kind of a vulgar display of power, don't you think?
Yeah. But, I remember that scene. I don't, and like I didn't really question it too much.
Yeah.
I wondered like where did everybody go, but
I remember
it
seeing a
does
behind the
explain
scenes thing about how they filmed that. Like it was really difficult because that was in the early days of CG where they could only fake past a certain point and make it look real. Like they had to block off a significant chunk of Manhattan street
That'll fuck up
to
your
make
commute.
that. Yeah. Like it was like they had 5 minutes to fucking film that shit. At least it was only one thing of Keanu walking down the street and running. No, that really tracks, dude. I like that. It was a simulation. It was a simulation to present him.
Wait a minute.
What?
Did he put Keanu Reeves in the Matrix for a minute? Is that what happened?
Holy fuck. Oh my God. That's where they got the idea.
Yeah.
Keanu's just been making the same fucking movie for 25 years. That's fantastic. I love it. I love it. We cracked the code, finally, all these years later. Now I have to rewatch that with that in mind. That's really good. That's really good.
I mean,
All right.
as far as devils go, I mean, I think it was a goofy devil, but I don't think that that's on Pacino. I think it's on that script, the way that devil was written.
It was fun. It was the most fun I think you could have with the devil in an otherwise really depressing story.
It was fun, yeah.
And you need to be able to root for the devil in a story like this a little bit. And he was charismatic enough that you do, and that his whole spiel at the end. I mean, it's a very Machiavellian kind of thing, and but a lot of people buy that kind of logic.
Yeah.
So it has a certain appeal to it. It was good. I liked it. I've seen that movie a lot of times, and Pacino just chews it up, dude. He had you can feel that he had a blast doing it.
Now listen, I don't dislike the scream of Pacino. It's just when it
She's got a great ass. And you got your head all the way up. Fucking Hank Azaria's face in that scene is one of the greatest things ever put on film. That just flabbergasted. And I read that he didn't know that he was going to do that. Hank Azaria did not know Pacino was going to do that line that way. He had because I mean, on the page, you see that. I mean, there's like 800 ways you could do that fucking line.
yeah.
No one would think to do it. Just his eyes.
The screaming Pacino. It's like an entire school of acting unto itself. I'm telling you.
I love it. I love it. All right, so let's do this. Let's get the Sunday school ones out of the way real quick.
All right.
And give them a little compare and contrast, if you will. So we're talking about two: The Last Temptation of Christ, which is Martin Scorsese's very interesting take on the Jesus story, and then The Passion of the Christ, which is Mel Gibson's snuff film take on the Jesus story, mostly taking place during, you guessed it, the Passion, which is the long drawn-out murder of Jesus.
Yeah.
So the devil shows up in both of these movies. In The Last Temptation, it's a much more significant character, and interestingly enough, portrayed by a very innocent-looking blonde child of like 9 years old looking, who doesn't age, right?
Yeah.
And she's there through pretty much the whole final act, from the crucifixion on. And I don't know, it's an interesting way to package the devil. Never really becomes sinister per se, which is, I think, also interesting, because like we said, this conception of the devil, as a lot of people have it, Satan, Lucifer is a character or whatever, it's not really in the Bible. There's a lot of ways you can go with it. And, one thing that's consistent, though, is that the devil never actually does anything evil, right? Like the Christian devil is more about manipulating people, right?
Tempting them.
And yeah, it's temptation, it's manipulation, it's nudging, showing someone just asking the question, just showing you the possibility and letting you go from there. And I think that version you see pretty good in The Last Temptation, because that's what it is. It's the devil laying out what is the final temptation given to Jesus on the cross during the crucifixion.
Yeah, and
The temptation of step down and live a normal man's life without the burden of knowing you're the Son of God, destined for execution.
I was going to ask you, for both the benefit of anyone listening and also for my benefit, because I haven't seen that movie in like years. I have very little recollection. What does she offer him, and what are we led to believe will happen if he takes it?
Well, basically, it's a what if story, right? It's what if the devil offered Christ the possibility of coming off the cross during the crucifixion, being healed, and living out the life of a normal man with children and family and growing old, and like I said, without the burden of knowing that he's the Son of Man, destined to die a horrible death. And he experiences that. Like, that's what the movie shows. It shows him experiencing
What it would be like.
that illusion, kind of in like rapid pace. You get it's very dreamlike, kind of in the sequence, but it's kind of, It's a Wonderful Lifey. It's like I said, it's a what if story. And it it basically boils down to he's just what he would be giving up, what he would be doing to the world by being a normal person, yet another normal person, and it's not great. And at the end of it, he's like dying on a sick bed while Jerusalem is burning around him, and he eventually ends up coming back and changing his, rejecting that, and willingly goes back onto the cross. And then as he dies, the movie ends. Sorry to spoil it for you. Jesus dies on the cross. Anyone out there who wasn't aware, I'm sorry. if you didn't read to the end of the book.
It's like the ending
Jesus
of
dies on the cross.
Titanic.
The end,
you know what's gonna happen.
that ending, yeah, that ending is actually there in the book 4 times. So, I'm sorry. So yeah, that's that. It pissed a lot of people off when it came out. This movie, like a lot. Like people lost their fucking minds about this movie. They were protesting. Like nuns were outside of theaters crying. It was wild. Yeah.
Blasphemy.
Yeah, they were freaking out, dude. But it's actually a really good. There's nothing heretical in it. Like it's just it honestly reinforces.
You just said
the idea.
It ends with
of the sacrifice.
Yeah, it ends with him accepting that burden. So what's the problem?
I mean, there is. I mean, in one of the Gospels, that is a temptation that he's given. You know, to come off like one of the criminals asks him, you know, if you're the Son of Man, why don't you just get off the cross, right? So I mean, that was a temptation that was offered to him in the Bible. It's not out of thin air. You know, they didn't just make it up,
right?
You know, and it's something you do have to consider if you're into the Christian vibe, because it's part of the story. And, you know, he is God. Why didn't he save himself? It's something every Sunday school kid asks. And I don't know, there's always different answers. And here's Martin Scorsese's answer.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I liked it. I liked the little girl. It was a good way to do it.
Yeah.
It was a good way to do it.
Yeah, like you say, it reinforces the idea that the devil is not like, you know, always something very obvious that you can identify at a glance. It's like it could be the most insidious part about the devil is like the forms that it can take, and it might be the last thing you expect, like a little blonde girl.
Yeah. Mel Gibson was a little less subtle.
Oh yeah.
His devil wasn't like a classical devil, but it was creepy as fuck. It was this androgynous chick with bald head and black robes, looked, you know, white, looked like death, kind of, but, you know, very snake-like and lizardy in the movements and shit. And the whole movie's in Aramaic, right? Or whatever. I think, right? Aramaic?
It's all subtitled.
Actual Aramaic?
I think it's Aramaic.
And, like, there's a hissiness to her voice, his voice.
Its voice.
When the devil's voice, when it talks. And, I don't know. It's a little goofy now when I see it, but the first time I saw it in the theater, I remember it being kind of creepy. Like, it was definitely creepy. It's definitely unsettling. I don't like it.
Well, you said the first time you saw it. How many times have you seen that movie?
I saw it in the theater when it came out because it was like an event. It was like a thing, and I don't know. It was pretty tough to watch, to be honest. Like, it's pretty bloody. I own it. Like, I bought it just because, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. How many times?
I don't know. I've seen it probably maybe 4 or 5 times, I guess.
Man, I saw it the once in the theater, and that was it. You know,
that was it.
Yeah, I mean, because that was one of those movies. Now, I won't say it was a bad movie or that I didn't like it, but it's like, it's one of those things. Like I don't think I need to watch that again, for the reasons that you just put out there. Like, I know that story, and I saw Mel Gibson's version of it, and like that was the one and only time I was ever like, yeah, I'm gonna sit and watch this, and yeah, it just happened to be in a room with like 500 other people. And it's a little weird to hear the sound of like people munching popcorn during what you just, you know, pretty accurately described as Mel Gibson's snuff film of Jesus.
I remember people were crying in the theater by the end when I saw it. The person I went with was crying at the end.
Oh yeah, I think I know who. I think I know who that was.
Yeah, some broad. But yeah, it affected people, man. I'll tell you. I don't know. I went for like around Easter time. If I think of it, I watch certain movies.
Yeah,
like I'll watch certain movies. I watch that every once in a blue moon. I'll watch Last Temptation of Christ because my wife really likes it, and sometimes I'll watch the 10 Commandments because that always used to be on TV around Easter time. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's the story of Moses. It has fucking nothing to do with Easter.
With Jesus,
but, but they would always show it like on Easter Sunday weekend, and
God's
in
greatest hits.
Technicolor, and with commercials. That motherfucker's like 5 hours long. That movie is like 5. Then they'd show Ben-Hur too.
Oh God.
I remember them showing Ben-Hur around the holidays. That did have Jesus in it, so that made a little more sense. He's not in a lot though. There's a lot more movie, and it's a lot of Charlton Heston shirtless. Whatever.
That's why you show that movie.
That's why I show it. I put it on the fucking projection on the wall. He's all greased up and shirtless, and
It's people.
yeah, with a neckerchief. Yeah. I don't know. Easter movies. What are you gonna do? So I mean, yeah, Mel Gibson's Devil was just a little too much. I think a little too on the nose.
And I think like the other thing too is it's in both those movies. I think it's stated very clearly up front that like this is supposed to be the devil, whereas there are some other movies where like you're not sure, like Devil's Advocate and Angel Heart both
Right.
play with the possibility that like maybe it's just a really greasy dude and not necessarily the devil, and it's up to you to make the decision of whether or not you think it really is the devil. These are pretty clear, like, yeah, this is the devil.
Yeah, it's the devil from Scripture, straight up.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's not many movies like that where the devil is a mystery character. I think those two films you just mentioned kind of stand out, and like sometimes they're just super on the nose with it, like Constantine.
Oh God, Constant. Are we doing that one next?
Why not? I mean, it's what, like 3 scenes at the end of the movie,
With Dino
but
Velvet.
it's really memorable. Dino Velvet. Yeah, we don't use Peter Stormare's real name.
No, he's
on this
Dino
podcast.
Velvet now and forever.
He's just because that's it. That's how he first came into my life. Oh, we have to talk about that movie someday. Just
Dino
give it. That's
Velvet.
got a.
Which one?
That movie deserves 8mm, dude. That movie deserves a deep dive all by itself.
Yeah, you put it on the list, man.
I mean, come on, Nick Cage, Gandolfini, fucking Dino Velvet.
Oh, Gandolfini's in that. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
He's the casting guy. Ugh.
That's right. He's so scummy, dude. And the machine, that actor, he was the child molester from the beginning of Devil's Advocate.
Yes, he was.
The teacher touching himself in court.
Gross.
Why don't you jerk off for the judge? No. So Constantine, at the very end of this Christian-infused action comic book movie, which is awesome. I love it. They're making another one. I'm going to watch it.
Really?
Yeah. Keanu's doing it.
Keanu's doing
they're
another
making one.
I saw an interview with him where like they said, what's the one movie the role you'd like to reprise? And he said Constantine.
Yeah, apparently he really loved it. Yeah, and he's finally clear of John Wick and all that, so he's going to do it. He's going to do it. It looks. I don't know. I mean, it's not a done deal. They haven't started filming yet, but he's. It's coming.
That guy has so much pull. That'll get made.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'll be there for it. And the first one's great. It's a great movie. It's just so much fun. And just it's just comic booky enough without being too comic booky. And Dino Velvet's Satan is awesome.
Dino.
Like,
I'm sorry. Sorry, Peter. Peter Stormare.
Yeah, because
Peter,
Peter, if you're listening to this, we love you. We love all the times you play a Russian or a Middle Easterner or a Turk or whatever bad guy that we need you to be. You're awesome, man. We watch all your shit. You're big in Jersey.
He did play a good devil, and like
okay, so like the aesthetics are amazing.
The bare feet.
First off, bare feet dripping with like tar, black tar. Really cool choice. Leaves footprints. Gross. White suit with no shirt.
Yep.
3-piece suit, no shirt, sweaty, and like no eyebrows too. Did you notice that?
No, I don't think I did.
That makes him super creepy. No eyebrows is always creepy. Makes you less human. That's why dogs have eyebrows, so they look more human. It's a fact.
I think you might be right.
So we give them stuff. they evolved to beg.
They evolved to have
Get
eyebrows.
Tritos.
This is way off topic. Are you familiar with Stellan Skarsgård?
Yes. Yeah, he's been in all kinds of
He's
shit.
one of my favorite actors. He's great.
He was in Good Will Hunting, right? He was the professor.
I don't remember him in that. He may have been, but he's been in a bunch of stuff. He was in Chernobyl.
Yeah. Still, yeah, that's him.
He
yeah.
won a Golden Globe for that.
Chernobyl was amazing.
Chernobyl was amazing. That show's nuts. It was a miniseries. It was great. But he won a Golden Globe for that, for Best Supporting Actor. It was his first Golden Globe. So he gets up there, and he's doing his acceptance speech, and he says, like, I've had a lot of great success. So I've never had an award like this. But one other thing I don't have is eyebrows. I don't have eyebrows. And my makeup artist, and he gave her name, whoever it was, said that she gave him eyebrows for his role, and lo and behold, he won an award. So that was his whole acceptance speech, was thank you for the eyebrows. It must have helped.
No, does he not actually have no eyebrows, or is he just so Nordic that they're clear?
Maybe I just maybe you can't see them, but he has no visible eyebrows. And then this was the first role in which they took the time to give him eyebrows, and he wins a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actor. I thought that was hilarious. Back when award shows were interesting enough to actually tune into, and then I saw that speech, I was like, yes, bravo, Mr. Skarsgård. It was great.
That man was on mushrooms. He was on a lot of mushrooms.
Possibly.
He was having a good night.
Sorry, we're off
He was
topic.
having a good night.
But
no, I mean, no eyebrows.
So
but
Dino Velvet
Peter
had
Stormare,
no eyebrows.
no eyebrows, and like Nazi hair, kind of.
Yeah, like
right?
real short on the sides.
Yeah, and just like it's sweaty and gross. And also, if you noticed, he has tattoos on his arms of like tendrils that are poking out of his sleeves.
Like tribals.
Yeah, kind of actually. It's very 90s. But he's great. Like if you're playing the devil and you only have
one scene.
What is it? Maybe 5. I guess technically it's like 4 or 5 scenes, including the scene when he goes into the weird room with the pool, right?
Yeah.
And all that, and then pulling him back from heaven, that whole bit, which is great. But I mean, if you only got this little bit of character time and you're playing the devil, I mean, you just got to lean the fuck into it. And you kind of been waiting for him to show up the whole movie. Mm-hmm. He's the only character they've talked about a whole lot, but you're like, I guess we're not going to see God, so are we going to see? And yeah, we get to see Satan. You get to see Satan a lot more than you get to see God in the movies.
Yeah. Well, God is a lot harder to define. If you're going by.
No, he's George Burns. He's George Burns. Didn't you know that? It's fucking horrible movies.
Oh God.
Oh my God, my aunt used to watch them. She used to like those fucking things. Oh Christ.
What were they called again?
Man, don't make me look it up.
Then don't. I don't want to cause you pain.
All right, just fine. All right, I'll go fucking look it up.
Don't do it.
Hold on. No, we're gonna do it. We're gonna look through George Burns's. Do you kids know who George Burns is?
Anyone that could be considered a kid does not know who George Burns is. He was a skeleton when we met him.
You want to know what the fucking movie's called? Oh God. Oh. All right. Movie's called Oh God. The first one was in 1977. And he was already an old son of a bitch in 1977. Like, he was ancient. Okay.
Smoking a 12-foot cigar.
Yeah, always smoking a cigar, somehow still alive. And then in 1980, he made Oh God Book 2. And then there's more. In 1984, he made Oh God, You Devil. That's Oh God with an exclamation point, You Devil.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. That was it. He died in 1995. And then he died. But yeah, that's what I was talking about. That's God in the movies, is George Burns.
Yeah, you have like God. George Burns is God, and Morgan Freeman. And yeah, like that's it.
And Jim Carrey.
That was the same movie.
I guess. So, It's canon. All right, so Constantine, we like him, right?
Dino Velvet.
Peter Stormare, Dino Velvet, Satan Man.
Yeah, he was good,
Creepy.
man. He was good. He was like that. I think if you look at the overall flavor of that movie and what they did with the devil, because like, who was it's Tilda Swinton played
Gabriel.
Played Gabriel, which was a weird take on Gabriel, but like
I
didn't mind it.
Yeah.
I liked it. And so with that like aesthetic in mind, Dino Velvet comes floating down with his black tar feet, and I'm like, yeah, I'm into it. Okay. It just fit with everything else they had set up in that universe and in that world, and it just worked. I liked it.
I liked it. And the only other demon you get to see with any good screen time with is Gavin Rossdale from Bush. Big part of our high school and middle school upbringing. Fuck, man. He was pretty good in this. This is one of those few acting things he ever tried, and he was fine.
Yeah.
I thought he did a good job.
He was good.
Yeah, good. He didn't have a big part, but he did fine with what he had. Finger licking good.
That scene where he's like calmly drinking water while that like crazy priest can't doesn't know he's trying to drink stuff in the liquor store.
He ends up drinking himself to death and doesn't know it. Yeah,
that was pretty gnarly.
Creepy. That was pretty good. No, there's moments. There's definitely moments. I love Tilda Swinton in this. It's always Gabriel though. They always fucking pick on Gabriel, man. They're always putting Gabriel in movies. There's another movie where Gabriel was the bad guy, and we're going to talk about that because it has one of my favorite depictions of Satan in it. The Prophecy. This one is kind of a diamond in the rough. Even though they made I think 5 sequels to this.
There's a lot.
There's too many. There's too many.
And
this is from 1995, The Prophecy, 1995. We got Christopher Walken playing the angel Gabriel, the archangel Gabriel, and he's the main protagonist, right?
He's the antagonist.
Anti-hero.
I mean, I would call the protagonist Daggett, Thomas Daggett, right?
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? He's like,
all right. I guess so.
We're splitting hairs.
I guess we're splitting hairs here. Yeah. Well, Eric Stoltz too is in this, right? Simon. He's Simon, another angel. That was really a nice turn. This might have been the first thing I ever saw him in. I think I saw this before I saw Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
As a kid,
I saw him in Mask.
Mask, that's right. That's right, with Cher. Yeah. Prophecy's a great movie. This is done by the same cat who wrote Highlander.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and he wrote this movie, and I got to tell you, if you look at those 2 movies, it's kind of a masterclass in packing lore and world building into a very tight 1.5-hour movie. There's a ton of exposition and world building in Highlander, right? Enough to spawn, I don't know, 8 movies, a television series, and currently probably a remake with Henry Cavill. People will not stop building on that world. And it was just this one script. There was no book. There was no source material. The screenwriter, he just fucking made it up. And it's so dense. And The Prophecy is a lot like that, too. And he gives these angels a very, very particular aesthetic. They all wear long coats. A lot of them have a penchant for leather pants.
A lot of them have a penchant for perching on things like birds.
They like to perch. Yeah, they like to perch on the backs of chairs, on fences.
Yeah, the edges of buildings.
The thing I like, it's you kind of wonder why would they do such a thing, but I like it because it's just unnatural. It's just something very unnatural to see a human being. Yeah, human beings can't really do that.
It separates them from the people,
and that's how they're comfortable. They just kind of sit there. There's one a time lapse shot for hours and hours. One of them sitting like that, So yeah, bird-like, right? It's creepy. It's creepy, and they have like dark gray fingernails. Apparently, they have no genitalia.
They're Ken dolls.
According to the Ken dolls. The Ken dolls. They're smooth down there. Very smooth. Very smooth. Very soft. But it's neat. It's neat. It's kind of like, it's a comic booky version of the War in Heaven. And the whole idea is that ever since the last War in Heaven, when Lucifer was cast out, there's been another war raging, a rebellion essentially against God, led by the angel Gabriel and his cohorts. And heaven is still closed, while hell is still hell. No souls have been going to heaven, yay, all this time. It's a little muddy. Like, they didn't get super, super deep into it, but, I mean, it was an hour and a half. It was enough. It's definitely enough to enjoy. And at the very end, we get Viggo Mortensen playing Satan. And again, like, it's one of these movies where you got all these angel characters popping in and out, and you're like, are they ever actually going to show us, like, the King Angel that everyone wants to see, the fallen angel? And yeah, they give us a little Satan action at the end. And it's a very young Viggo, a very pre-Lord of the Rings Viggo.
He is Viggo.
It's Viggo. You're like flies to him. I got to see that again. I haven't seen that in a while. He's good in this. It's very understated. Like, he's dressed like the other angels because, I mean, he is, after all, an angel.
Yeah. You know, I like that bit, though, too. Like, the fact that he looks almost indistinguishable from all the other angels in that movie. He's wearing the same dark coat, same blue jeans. He's perched on the top of a wall like a fucking pigeon.
Yeah.
It just...
And he's got a little minion guy, a little growling, weird creature man.
Yeah.
So, in tow on a leash that he growls at like a lion. I think the only thing that really sets him apart is he has... well, no, because Eric Stoltz has facial hair too. He has a beard as Simon.
Yeah, he's
That's right. That's right. Yeah,
he
he's
looks
just
like
another
one
angel.
of them. And I like that.
Slick back hair, and Viggo made some really cool choices with this, I think, and just the whole characterization. It's again understated, and I think that's what makes it really good.
Well, Viggo does the same thing that Robert De Niro does in that he barely talks above a whisper for all of his lines. You know, he
like coos.
He says to the one girl, he's like, "I could have your mother laid out here, you know, with
lay you out and
feces.
fill your mouth with your mother's feces." That's what it is.
And then he goes, "Or we could talk," but it's all just real low. It's like a growl, you know.
Very matter-of-factly too. It's not too much. It's not overacted. It's not, I'm trying to be evil.
It's low and menacing at the same time.
Yeah, and the reaction to him on the part of the other actors really helps sell it. Like,
they recoil.
Yeah, like Virginia Madsen, you feel like she's looking at a coiled snake the whole time she's talking to him, and when he touches Thomas, who's played by the incomparable Elias Koteas, when he still had hair.
Casey Jones.
Like, you can see that he's in pain just from being touched by him. Like, what it does to him. Like, he could barely breathe the whole time, having him that close. And that line that he has about all those times that you prayed and hopped in your bed worried that I was underneath. Mm-hmm. And I was. It's just so goofy, but I love it. It's so...
he's fucking with him.
He's fucking with him, and then he shows up at the end and just houses Gabriel and rips his fucking heart out, which is how you kill an angel in this universe. It's the only way to kill an angel is to remove their heart or rip their chest open and send their heart flying across an alley with a car. That does it too, apparently.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Which is a great scene. That was a great scene. But that he's got this line at the end. He's killed Gabriel. His mouth is covered in blood from taking a bite out of his heart. And he's trying to convince He's trying to convince the protagonists, both of them, to come with him to hell, right? Because he just can't give up. He's not happy enough because he's Satan, right? He's not happy enough that he won, that he beat Gabriel. He now he wants to try to lure the heroes away as trophies. And he has this one line where he goes, I love you more than Jesus. And he's just with his mouth covered in blood. It's just like, bro, it's a tough sell, Lucy. It's a tough sell right now, and neither of them bite. But and Satan walks off into the sunset and bursts apart into a murder of crows, which actually looked really good for that time.
Oh yeah,
and that budget
with what they had
they did
to
it,
work with.
Yeah, they did it just right, so it didn't look corny. Like all the effects in that movie, I think follow that. Everything looked good. You know, for that budget, especially, they didn't try to do more than they could make look good. And there's enough gore, but not too much. And Christopher Walken. Like I know the whole rest of the cast. You got Virginia Madsen plays the female lead. You got Elias Koteas as we've agreed, the protagonist. Walken is the main antagonist. You've got the character actor Eric Stoltz. You know, who's was Academy Award person.
Academy Award person.
And Walken is just so good.
The incomparable Christopher Walken.
Christopher fucking Walken, man. Like in this is right when he started making like shitty B movies every so often for paychecks, one assumes. But this is one of the best ones he ever made, and he's just so much fun. He's got what's the guy's name from The Salton Sea?
Evan Goldberg. Adam Goldberg.
Adam Goldberg. Yes. Sorry, Evan.
Evan's a writer.
Adam Goldberg. Right. As his little zombie, his pet zombie. And yeah, apparently angels have the ability to, if they find somebody who's near death, they can kind of make their soul hang on and stay in their fucking body through. But the problem is that all they want is to just die. And they can't sleep because they're not alive. They're a zombie. They can't eat, can't sleep, and they just want to fucking die. I'm just so fucking tired. That fucking scene where he's just smoking a cigarette in his disgusting fucking apartment. It's just fantastic. There's just so much in there, man.
He's so mean to him too.
He's so fucking mean, but it's so funny. Like, so those are some of the funniest interactions. And Goldberg's always a funny guy. He's funny in almost everything he is.
He's great.
And Walken's just got that delivery. I mean, it's so typically Walken-y. Like, he's not really acting very much in this. He's just doing his thing, but it works. It's great. And they gave him such juicy Walken lines too. It's endlessly entertaining. And there's no hokey special effects to throw you off or to date it super bad or to make you like groan. The plot's solid. It's paced wonderfully. It all builds up to a nice big showdown at the end. Wonderful cast. I mean, there's no reason not to see it. And Vigo, even though it's not a big part, he plays a fantastic Satan.
Oh, he sells it.
And it's like a little cherry on top at the end of the movie after great performances from everybody. And Elias Koteas, man, I don't know why he didn't have a bigger career. He's awesome in this. He was Casey Jones for us in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles growing up. I just thought, he's been acting steadily ever since. He just never got those leading man parts.
Man parts?
It's a shame. Leading man parts.
Sorry.
No. Another great movie that he's in where he doesn't have much screen time, Fallen, which is devil adjacent.
Fallen was awesome.
Yeah, it's devil adjacent. It's not on this list because that's just like a demon. It's not the devil. It's a demon. Azazel. Yeah, Azazel. Fucking what a awesome, cool 90s movie.
Is that the one where like you touch someone and it can pass from person to person?
Yep. Exactly.
That was a great movie.
It's got Denzel Washington as the cop, and in the beginning, Elias Koteas is a vicious serial killer who's put to death that Denzel helped catch, right?
Is that the one where they're singing the Rolling Stones song? Time.
Yeah, Time.
He is on my side.
Yes, it is. Yeah, he sings that during his walk to the execution chamber, to the gas chamber. They gas him. And that's how they run the credits. The intro credits of the movie is his walk down the Green Mile, essentially.
Yeah.
And he like kind of shuffle dances in the shackles while singing the song, and they play it real loud, of course, for the film. It's just, he helps set the tone of the movie, and he's barely in it. But again, making so much out of a small part by hamming up the evil, and he just knocks it out of the fucking park. Hang on one second. I got to look something up. There's another movie that kind of takes that concept of a serial killer in jail who's possessed by a demon and makes it the sole focus of the film. Michael Flannery is the cat from...
Sean Patrick Flannery.
Thank you.
From Boondock Saints? That's recent. That just came out, right?
What?
The one you're looking up.
This movie I'm talking about? Yeah, it's
recent.
newer. Yeah. Nefarious. Okay. So the movie I'm talking about is from 2023. It's from the last year. It's called Nefarious. Super low budget, right? And, I mean, I don't know if it's just me. I watched it twice just to be sure. It's two guys in a room for most of the movie, essentially. An interview of a death row inmate with a psychiatrist who has to make a final determination if he's competent enough to be put to death, essentially. And the whole gist of the movie is that Sean Patrick Flannery, who's he plays a cat, evil serial killer bastard, that you never actually get his name. He's just credited in the script as Nefarious.
Huh.
Because that's what he calls himself as a demon. He says that he is actually a demon possessing this person's body and that he has been inside of him for most of his life. And I'm not going to go into it, but, it's a really interesting character study. And Sean Patrick Flannery has to carry most of the movie, and he just barely does it. And he does it. But it's like there's parts where you're like you're waiting to cringe and then you don't, if that makes any sense. Like he ends up pulling it off and he just by the skin of his fucking teeth. Give it a watch if you haven't if you want something that's just very X-Files-y. It's like a long X-Files episode.
I haven't
kinda.
seen that one.
It's really neat. It's really neat. I think it's on Amazon.
All right, I have to look for it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's inventive, and it shows what a good script can do, even without. I'm not going to say without top tier actors. I mean, both of the guys in it are pretty accomplished actors, and Flannery's been acting for years and years. I guess just without money,
Without like
it's
A-list actors.
A-list actors without money. It's the power of good, decent writing and compelling acting, and a little bit of a surprise ending. I'll say that. It's also hard. I'll say this too. It's also hard to pull off like a multiple personality kind of character switch without it being hokey.
Yeah, those are tough.
And Flannery does it pretty good. Flannery does it to the point where the most horrific part of the movie is it gets you thinking about what it would actually be like to be a passenger in your own body while something else does all kinds of horrible shit that you then have to take the blame for. And there's no way anyone would ever believe anything else other than you did it. Because you did. You actually did. And
Your
that
body did.
idea alone, like that idea alone that you're like a prisoner, they go really deep into it. So it kind of, that part just burrows into your brain a little bit. It's fun. It's good stuff. Devil adjacent. Devil adjacent.
Devil adjacent.
All right, so we did Screaming Pacino, Screaming De Niro.
The Whispering De
didn't
Niro, the
scream.
Screaming Pacino.
The Whispering Stormare, The giddy Stormare, he claps and giggles at one point. That's really good. The hissing Vigo.
The giggling Mortensen.
The giggling Mortensen. All right, let's do the action movie Satan.
Wait, what's the action movie, Satan?
The action movie Satan is in the only Arnold Schwarzenegger movie about Satan.
Oh,
End of Days. The weirdest turn for Arnold ever. Late in his career, he decided to do a taut thriller about the devil come to Earth.
Gabriel Byrne.
Yeah, apparently the devil shows up is it New York City, right? It's New York?
I think it's New York.
It's always New York.
It's always New York, yeah.
Shows up as Gabriel Byrne.
I remember that this movie, like Gabriel Byrne is just some dude out to dinner with his wife in New York City. He's just a dude having a good time, and then somehow the devil inhabits his body.
I think he's like a shit. I think they say something about him being like a shitbag CEO or something, and that's why it was easy for him to hop into him.
Right.
But yeah, there's not much resistance, and then he's just the devil for the rest of the movie, doing devil shit. He said he was the devil and came here to do some devil shit. That's not verbatim. All right, Gabriel Byrne sucked, by the way, in End of Days. He was
what
terrible.
more needs to be said about that movie?
That movie was so bad.
Gabriel Byrne sucked. End of Days sucked.
Kevin Pollak tried to save it. Kevin Pollak tried. But, I mean, from the scene when Arnold puts, like, a piece of pizza and, I don't know, like, a half of an eaten hot dog in a blender with beer. Like, we're supposed to buy that he's an alcoholic, semi-alcoholic, fucking near-suicidal dude. But he just also has time to go to the gym 3 times a day. He hasn't fallen off that routine, but he's damn near ready to blow his head off. It just doesn't work. And Gabriel Byrne is he's just a generic. He just like blows shit up with his mind.
Nothing
Like
against
he's
Gabriel
just like
Byrne.
a superhero.
He's a fine actor. He's in some stuff that I've really liked. However, as the devil, I would say, and this is probably more the fault of the script.
Oh yeah,
it doesn't work. It's not good.
All I'm gonna say, I hope he made a good payday for being in an Arnold movie, and I think he gave it the amount of effort that was appropriate. Go watch Usual Suspects or Miller's Crossing.
Oh,
he was excellent. Miller's Crossing.
Miller's Crossing is
I haven't seen that in a minute. Apparently, the Coen brothers are going to do another movie together, and it's going to be a horror movie.
What?
And they said it's going to be really bloody, but that's all they said.
Oh man,
there's nothing. Google that.
I
shit.
don't
It's
care.
coming.
I'm watching it. I don't care.
I can't wait. All right, we have a non-human to talk about real quick before we get to the voting here. The Witch.
Oh, the Vivitch.
This was one of your nominations.
Yeah, man. Black Phillip.
Black Phillip, the fucking
The
goat. I
goddamn
don't trust
goat.
goats, man. I did not grow up on a fucking farm. I'm not a farm person.
You're not. I'm not a
afraid
farm
of-
doctor.
I'm not an animal doctor. I'm not a livestock doctor. Okay, I've been around animals. I have a dog. I don't like goats.
Goats are
I
creepy.
don't like goats.
Have you?
I don't like their fucking
Their
eyes.
eyes are horrifying.
I don't like them. And the more contrast there is, like the lighter colored the eyes and the darker the fur or whatever they have, I don't like them. I'll eat the shit out of a goat though. Like I'll eat some mutton, like almost out of glee, out of spite, because I hate goats.
Like an MLT.
I'll eat their flesh.
And the mutton is nice and lean.
Oh. Have you ever had mutton?
No.
It's excellent.
I run
Excellent.
a meat department. I've never had mutton.
Do you sell mutton?
One time I got a box of frozen. It was by mistake. It just said, the box just said frozen cut up goats.
You're fucking with
Nope.
me. Frozen cut up
Frozen
goats?
cut up goats. And it was just giant 2-inch by 2-inch cubes of goat meat. But like
Goat meat?
But, yeah.
No,
But like the way
our body's sluggish with goat
the
meat.
way the way it was described in the tag, it made it sound like they just laid a goat on a table and just hacked the whole thing into fucking 2-inch cubes, frozen cut up goats. Now, it took me a year and a half to sell it. There were 6 bags in the box. That's all. Like, it was just there's a real small market for frozen cut up goats where we live.
Oh my God, especially when you call it that. Jesus Christ.
I was working that stuff like, what the fuck is this? I was like, I got to find a place to put this.
Lamb is fairly common.
Sure.
Especially lamb chops, though they're usually horribly expensive. But, yeah, you don't see much goat or mutton. There are Middle Eastern restaurants around here that have it on the menu, along with oxtail and a lot of stuff that you don't typically see in the supermarket. So you can get it from suppliers and whatnot, and it's everywhere in the cities. But yeah, there's not. It's a dearth of goat meat around here. It's a shame too, because they're evil to look at, but they're good eating. But in The Witch, which is a great film,
I loved
from
it.
2015. Yeah, I mean Stephen King gave it a lot of kudos, and I think that got the word of mouth going about it on social media.
Is that Robert Eggers?
Yeah, Robert Eggers. That's right. And Anya Taylor. It was basically Anya Taylor-Joy's big debut.
Anya Taylor-Joy became the it girl after that movie, man.
Yeah,
she was in everything.
Yeah. She was in this, and then she was in Split, right? The Shyamalan.
She was in Split?
M. Night.
You're right.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, M. Night. M. Night's sequel to Unbreakable, which I liked a lot.
Yeah, Unbreakable.
She was great in both. She was great in both those movies, especially for being so young. And Ralph Ineson too, who'd been an actor for quite some time in Europe, but The Witch put him on the map too.
Was he like the father?
Yeah, the father with that voice.
That guy has the deepest voice I've ever heard.
So impossibly deep. That's a great film. Atmospheric. Wildly atmospheric.
Can I ask you a weird question?
Always.
Did you watch it with the subtitles?
No, I actually find it fairly easy to understand.
Oh, man.
I don't know why.
I had to watch it with the subtitles. I was watching it, I was like, this, I can't understand a word they're saying. I don't know what's going on. I put on the subtitles, and it was like, oh, yeah, okay, I get it. And then I loved it.
I got to crank it. I got to pay attention. I can't listen to it in the background. I know what the fuck's going on. But, yeah, no, I found it pretty easy to understand. I really liked how hard they leaned into it, too. How the actors really tried to make it conversational. That very older, now
yeah,
very
old
it's
English.
An old version of English. It's not quite old English. It's not that bad, but it's old. It's antique, man. It's some antique words in there, and they did enough to not include a lot of words that are unrecognizable to us, but the sentence structure, and it's a lot if you're. But yeah, I mean, if it bothers you, just put the subtitles on.
Dude, yeah, putting the subtitles on instantly made that movie more enjoyable.
Well, explain Black Phillip. What he is.
I mean, the witch. Sorry, I always say the Vivitch. It's like
yeah. Well, that is technically the title. It's 2 V's because back in the olden times they didn't have W's.
Well, you have these people. They're I guess they're Puritans. Or they move out of a larger settlement, which would be something akin
basically pilgrim
to
people.
Jamestown, or something in the Northeast, near Boston, and these religious fanatics strike out on their own to start their own homestead, and they're going to do everything on their own, but they're very pious and devout Christians.
Isn't the deal though they leave the village in the first place because they don't agree with the religious leaders?
Yeah,
right?
There's some sort of
in the village.
There's
they don't get into specifics, right?
I don't think so. There's some sort of disagreement on religious grounds of what these people are into versus what the village elders are into, and I don't think they get into that. But it's clear from the way these people talk that they're fanatics. They're super Christian. And so they strike out on their own, and they have a colonial homestead, like a log cabin. The father
I mean, this is some old-timey
Yeah.
shit. This is...
The father is constantly splitting wood. All this man does is split wood day and night so they can burn it to cook and for heating this little log cabin that they live in. And there's 3 kids. There's like Anya Taylor-Joy, who's the older sister. There's the mom, and then there's like 2 kids. I think they're twins.
There's 4 kids. There's 4
she has
kids.
a
There's
baby.
Thomason. There's Thomason. There's the brother. There's the twins, and then there's the baby.
Yeah, I
so
forgot
at the beginning,
about the
there's
baby.
5. At the beginning, there's 5.
Oh yeah, that's right. I
Yeah.
forgot. Okay, yeah. Either way, so there's Anya Taylor-Joy. Anya Taylor-Joy. She's Thomason. There's the 2 kids, which I think are twins. There's like a toddler, and then there's a baby, which gets taken, presumably by a witch that lives in the woods. And then on this homestead, as you would normally find in colonial times, there's a goat, which you would keep on hand for milk. And no, you wouldn't. No, this is like a
gonna
male
milk a goat?
This is a male billy goat. They have this fucking
Man goat.
They have this fucking man goat named Black Phillip, and the
Who
creepiest.
the fuck names a goat Black Phillip?
Well, it's
like, I know it's black,
it's a black
but still.
goat. But the 2 twins are running around singing songs about Black Phillip. There's this creepy ass rhyme that they sing about
Yeah.
Black Phillip this and Black Phillip that. And then they put the camera on this goat, and you're like, oh God, that's Black Phillip? That thing is terrifying. And I remember watching this movie with my wife and saying, like, I bet that thing's the devil. You know, you look at it, it's got these big horns and then that creepy ass like goatee that, like, you know, billy goats have, and I'm like, that thing is pure evil. And I said,
Very goat-like goatee.
that thing is the devil. And not to spoil the Vivage, but you know, it's been out for a few years now.
Dude.
Man, Black Phillip is the fucking devil incarnate.
He's not a good goat. He's a bad
goat.
He's a bad goat. Whenever you have cherubic twins in pre-colonial dress, dancing about and singing, you're in for a bad time.
You're playing with
And
fire.
it's never a portent of good things to come. And that fucking goat kills the dad, and it's fucked up.
Yeah, man.
Okay, that shocked the shit out of me. That was a brutal way for the dad to have to go. First time I saw that, I
Splitting
was
that
like,
wood
brutes.
day and night.
Right
Remember
into
that.
his fucking wood pile. Dies in his fucking wood pile.
And like the ending of that movie is pretty goofy. But you know, I remember I was grinning ear to ear when it happened. I'm like, "Are you fucking serious? That thing's really the devil?" And then it just starts to talk, and you don't see a goat's mouth moving.
No, he like telepathically
Well,
talks to her.
maybe it does,
Sort
maybe
of.
it doesn't, but you don't know that. Like,
Yeah, whispers.
It's like
Whispers.
just over her shoulder. You just hear like, "Wouldst thou like to live deliciously?"
Deliciously.
It just starts like tempting Anya Taylor-Joy, and
And she's so into it. She's so yours.
yeah, man.
She disrobes and goes into the woods with the other naked witch ladies. The beginning of that, too, is really something from actual folklore. It was a very well-known thing that witches would steal an unbaptized baby
Yeah.
in order to render its fat, which the witch would then use to rub all over their body, and it would allow them to fly. That is what you see happening in this movie. You actually also see it in The Warlock.
I did not know
Remember that one?
I remember the Warlock.
Julian Sands. Yeah, he died not too long ago hiking in California.
What?
Julian Sands disappeared on a hiking trip in California, and they found his body.
Holy shit!
Yeah, like last year that happened. Yeah. So if you ever want to fly, unbaptized baby fat is the way to go.
Oh, boy.
I don't know what kind of magic words you got to say, but I mean, if you get the fat, you could find the words probably. Like there's the internet.
Well, I don't know. The words are. I think you need the goat.
You might have to have.
You
the
gotta
goat.
have the
You
goat.
might have to have the goat. All right. Did we miss anyone?
Well, I'd like to have an honorable. Well, there is one.
What?
Elizabeth Hurley.
Bedazzled.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's worth a mention, even though like
Why not?
her story really is more akin to like the genie that's trying to trick
Yeah.
you.
It's Brendan Fraser, right?
Yeah,
Is the
Brendan Fraser.
leading that? Yeah. It's been a long time since I've seen that. I do remember it was at the peak of Elizabeth Hurley-ness.
And like not to mention like Elizabeth Hurley. I'm sorry. Oh my God, she's
she's real tough to look at in this.
tough.
Man, no, it's yeah, and Brendan Fraser too. I mean, he's at the peak of his handsome at the time
Yeah,
too.
that was
so
peak Brendan
there's a
Fraser.
little bit for everybody. A little bit for everybody in the old bedazzled. Yeah, she's very much more. She's totally is called the devil and is credited as the devil, but she is definitely more of a genie type character. You're right.
The way it's written, she plays like a genie, but like she's definitely supposed to be the tempter devil.
And it's a comedy. Let's mention that it's a fucking comedy. So, it doesn't lean too hard. All I remember from this movie is Brendan Fraser. Like, he lives out different scenarios, right, based on his wishes or whatever.
Right.
And I just remember the one where he's this giant albino basketball player. Right, and he's giving an interview, and he's just pouring sweat. Like they have little things in his wig. They're just pouring sweat down his face as he's giving it a post-game interview on the court. That's all I remember from this movie, really vividly. That and that he ends up being a Latin drug lord at one point.
I remember him being a Latin drug lord. Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I remember.
See-through suit running. Yeah, I remember.
He wants to be rich and powerful, and so she makes him like a cartel leader.
Yeah, people keep trying to kill him. That's right. Yeah. It's that's the whole theme of it is just how wishes go. The classic thing, how the wishes go wrong because you're not specific enough.
And it's not. Elizabeth Hurley is your devil in that movie, and she's fine. It's fine.
She's fine. That's fine. All right, cool. It's a good rundown. So
I have one honorable mention.
Oh, okay.
And it was a great movie. And there was a scene at the very end with someone who may or may not have been the devil. But my favorite part was George Clooney's description of him in "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" when they meet Tommy, the guitar player. And he says, like, "Oh, yeah, I sold my soul to the devil at the crossroads at midnight." And then they mention the devil. And George Clooney goes, "Well, the great Satan himself is a scaly fellow. He carries a hay fork. He's got a bifurcated tail." And he's just like, he starts spouting off.
Bifurcated tail.
Yeah, he's got a bifurcated tail, and he carries a hay fork. And he's
That's
just
right. Everyone knows. Everyone knows.
Everybody knows. It's common knowledge. And then Tommy goes, "Oh no, he's white just like you, and he's got hollow eyes, and he travels with a mean old hound." And like, you just kind of throw that line away. And then at the end of the movie, sure enough, the guy that's been chasing him the whole time wears those weird like sunglasses. They're like, but they're almost like goggles in that they have that thing that creeps around the side.
The side shields.
Yeah, the side shields.
The side shields.
And he's got a bloodhound on a chain. And then when they come out of the whatever that they've done just on the concert as the Soggy Bottom Boys, and they go to that house in the plane that's about to be flooded, and he's there waiting for him with 3 nooses. Or no, 4 nooses.
You see him before that too. He's
chasing him.
Yeah, he's with the cops when they burn down the barn they're hiding in. We're in a tight spot. Yeah, that part.
We're in a tight spot.
He's there too. Yeah, no, that's good. That's he was definitely supposed to be the devil. That works, man. That was a good one. That was a very southern gothic devil. For sure.
love that movie. It was
Coen brothers, man.
So unexpected. I thought like, okay, this I'll see this because it's Coen Brothers. And I remember thinking like, yeah, I mean, I'm into it. I'll try it out. And then I wound up loving it. I thought it was like just a great movie, and it had definitely that devil connection.
I have this thing with Coen Brother movies is usually first time around I'm not super crazy about them, and if I give him a couple more watches, I end up loving him. And Oh Brother was definitely one of those. It took a while to grow on me, but man, what a funny ass movie. It's so fucking good.
It's hilarious.
It's so good. I can't wait for see what they come out with, man.
For a horror
It's
movie.
been a long time. Yeah, it's been a long time. I can't wait to see it. All right, so we went through a lot. We got a hell of a list of names: Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Peter Stormare, Tim Curry, Gabriel Byrne, Viggo Mortensen, the incomparable Elizabeth Hurley, creepy little girl, creepy androgynous person, creepy goat. So, who did it best? Who's the best Satan on film?
Oh, man.
What's your nomination, Tom? You get to go first.
Oh shit, that's a lot of pressure.
I know, pressure.
Like of all the people on that list, the one that I think I liked the best in terms of just the presentation and the script and like the way they played it, I think I liked Robert De Niro. And even though the name
Angel Heart,
even though the name Louis Cypher just like it burns me up because it's so obvious. Like if I put that aside, I loved Robert De Niro in that movie. I thought he was great. And for people who haven't seen it, I mean, we've spoiled a couple movies if you haven't seen them on this episode. But I won't spoil that one for the people that haven't seen Angel Heart for what he does to his, like, we'll call it his targets in that movie. It is so vile and sinister and just for lack of a better word, devilish. Oh man, it's so on brand for the devil. I thought it was perfect. I liked that movie. It was a genuine surprise, and I loved his performance. Robert De Niro, right. Lucifer.
Louis. Still whining Louis. Louis Cypher. Yeah, I don't know nothing about no chickens or little Cyphers.
I got a thing about chickens.
No, I'm from Brooklyn. All right, man. I dig that. I love Angel Heart. I'm glad you liked it so much. De Niro's tough to top, and that's a totally great choice. But just to be a little different, I think I'll go with Viggo from The Prophecy. Just for the fact that I really like the depiction in that movie of the devil as a fallen angel, as not materially not different from other angels, just in a different role, basically. I mean, if we open this up to TV, there's a lot more examples and a lot more attempts to do this. Like the show Supernatural has all kinds of demons and the actual devil and all kinds of shit who leaps into different bodies, and you get all different versions. But, you know, as far as movies go, you don't see the fallen angel version of Satan very often, let alone done well. And I think in a very brief amount of time, like I said, it was the cherry on top of an otherwise really great movie. I like Viggo. I like what he did with it. I liked it was understated but sinister, creepy. He had fun with the dialogue that he was given, and I think it works. I like it a lot, but I definitely think De Niro would be my other contender, and I guess second place would be Al Pacino. If we're just to take the second place, if there's a runner-up, I think I love watching Al Pacino in Devil's Advocate. I just do.
I mean,
he's a ball. It's over the top. It's goofy in places, but it's just a ball.
Yeah, it is over the top. It is goofy, but at the end of the day, it's fun. He's a lot of fun in that movie, and you can tell he's having fun with that role. So yeah, I mean Viggo Mortensen would have been my. It's like 1 and 1A. You know, for De Niro and Viggo, and yeah, Al Pacino's up there, but it's not for. I don't put him that highly because of the scream of Pacino at the end. It's more like the scenes when he's just kind of like whispering in your ear, like when he's trying to convince Charlize Theron to cut her hair.
To cut her hair,
yeah, like that scene. I'm like, yeah, that's the devil whispering in your ear.
Yeah. If you remember who he is and what he is the whole time, it's very creepy.
Right.
And like I said, that train scene, you know,
Oh yeah, that too.
that's fantastic. Like, if you think about what he just did, it's pretty
He
devilish.
just sealed the fate of 3 people.
May have kickstarted a double murder. You never know. Yeah, no, it's good stuff. Good stuff. The devil, the root of all evil.
Evil.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom.
Hey man, my pleasure.